Taigi dabar norėčiau pakviesti pirmąjį pranešėją. I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, the CEO of Adform, Mr. Mats Persson. He works in Adform for more than 4 years, but his experience spans almost 20 years of top management in such companies as, in such technology giants as IBM and other companies. So please welcome Mr. Mats Persson.
Thank you. Thank you. How good to be here. I represent and come from a company called Adform. Just doing a little bit of a survey start. It's a little bit. How many of you in here know about Adform? A few of you. Good. I was promoted just here in a second. I'm not the CEO. I would like to be that, but I'm not. I'm the COO. It's a slight difference in paycheck and ownership, but I'm happy. I will inform the current CEO that I'm now the new CEO of Adform. Anyway, how many of you, I've had the privilege to actually present in Lithuania quite many times now. I started 4.5 years ago in Adform. We are in Adform about 650 people globally. When I started, we were 100. Back then, we were about 30 people in Lithuania. We are now 350 people in Lithuania. So I've had the privilege to be here in Vilnius a lot and also give presentations. So how many of you have heard me presenting before? Only one. Good. You will recognize the jokes. So I'm happy that it's not more than you. So you just laugh along. It's the same. You heard it before. As my wife says, yes, I've heard it before. But I deliberately, and she's asking me not to talk about her, which I don't do, so I already did. But anyway, I have then, as you can see also, we are becoming a little bit famous about our socks. We're not a sock producer, but it's a marketing trick. So I have a few socks with me here, so I think for any smart questions at the end, you will be promoted with a pair of socks. Pure bribe. I'm here to talk about a little bit about big data. And now I'm going to ask the last question. How many of you did participate in our big data conference on Monday? We had a big data conference. There at the back, there is one. Yeah. You missed me because due to SAS, they canceled the flight. So I was supposed to present there, which I didn't then. So, but okay, then it's good because this presentation is a little bit based upon that. Big data. And big data in reality is a little bit the subject. An example from the online industry. I mentioned Adform as it is. We are a agnostic, media agnostic, technology independent company. We're trying to fight Google. We have a little bit informal. We say we're Adform, less evil. Because we're trying to do what Google is doing in the online industry. We don't have any search, but we do technology in the online industry. I'll get back to that a little bit later, what that means, and also reflect upon the massive amount of data that is produced within the online industry. So, there we go. Here I am, in the most favorable picture we found internally. I'm Swedish, working in Denmark, spending a lot of time here in Vilnius. So I speak many languages apart from Lithuanian. That's impossible to learn. I don't know what it is, but that's a language that is just, per definition, impossible to learn. But that was not the subject of this presentation. So, a little bit around big data in reality. You know more than I do about this, most probably. But there are a few things that are interesting of what the trends and the big data in reality. A few examples that I think is quite interesting to see and look upon, and just to understand the magnitude of this and how much unexplored grounds this is. One of the examples that I find interesting, and when you read about it a little bit, it's going to change the world. It's around the Bitcoin technology. Not the Bitcoin itself, but the chain, the blockchain, the chain block. That's the technology behind the security of Bitcoins. Bitcoin as a phenomenon is interesting itself, but if you remove that and say that whether it's going to succeed or not, What people are talking about a lot is that the underlying technology, and there are people that even say that in 2020, this is going to be bigger than internet. It's the thing with the ledger, the public ledger. The way Bitcoin works is that, in an easy way, is that you have a public ledger of all the transactions ever happened in Bitcoin. And it's stored on every computer in the network, which is millions. So in theory, if you want to manipulate a Bitcoin or a Bitcoin transaction, you need to take control over 51% of the computers, which is in theory impossible. There's encryptions included in there also, and there is also a way of that every 10 minutes a new block is created, and then it's signed off, so there's technology around it. The imagination is just into what this will be able to do when it comes to storing and doing transactions. At the end of the day, it's going to become a big data. Big data that is distributed across a huge network. Currently, the Bitcoin log is about 40 gig. It's not super big, but it's on every. So we will see. I don't know, but it's an interesting case. So read about it a little bit. And whenever you see the huge success of blockchain, remember where you heard it first. It was from a Swedish guy in an Atea conference. We will see. Airline industry is another interesting thing. Currently, or in the history, they are implementing touch points on every engine and on every airplane, about a few hundred maybe. Now the latest versions of and the latest models are capturing about 5,000 to 10,000 measure points on an airplane, creating a massive amount of data. But just to be able to analyze and predict maintenance and then save a lot of cost. That's one example where big data is coming into reality and becomes a reality and saving money. Wind plants, you know, that's all over the world nowadays. It's often connected to a balance. You can't predict how much energy you get out of it, but you're trying to in order to adjust the cold and the other power plants you're using. There are many examples that you know of. But one of the ones that are typically a lot referenced to is the online industry, because there is a huge amount of data produced. And there's also an industry, the online marketing or the marketing industry in general is an industry desperately trying to be a little bit better. You maybe heard the classic statement from a CEO. It says that, I know that 50% of my marketing money is waste. I just don't know which one it is. Marketing in general, I know I can be safe in here. It's not this is an IT conference, so there's not a lot of brand advertisements, marketeers here. It is an unprecise, an engineer myself, it's a very unprecise business. You're branding your brand, but what is really the effect of it? A lot of companies are spending enormous amount of money on branding and on marketing just because all the competitors are doing it. So it is an industry that is so much want to become a little bit better. And with the shift, that I'm going to talk a little bit later on, from TV into online, some preciseness is coming in there, and it's built upon data. But it's a huge amount of data that is produced. And we come to that point in the online industry that it's not the amount of data, because everyone has tons of data, it's do something valuable of it. That's why the subtitle of my presentation is that big data is out, it's actionable data that's in, to do something with the data. Yep. Internet of Things is something that I mentioned. What will this be when the dog is connected, and then also the bicycle, and it's just going to be a huge amount of data. We can't predict that. My dog died, so he's not connected anymore, but in my heart and soul he is. That was a sidetrack. Yeah, so you've seen these numbers. It is explosions of data. All the graphs looks like this. Doesn't matter where you go, they're always, it's a hockey stick, right? Per definition. It's just loaded. We're generating more. And now we're up to zettabyte, and what's the EB? Exabyte, petabyte, terabyte, gigabyte. One prediction is that we will, in 2020, in 1 second, create more data than all the written material existing in the year 2000. So in 20 years, we'll go from all the information that was available in written form in year 2000, ever done throughout the history, in 20 years later, we will produce the same amount of information in 1 second. Internet of Things is driving that, all the connectivities we do. So just a massive amount of data. I don't think in 2020 that we look upon this chart anymore. We just say it's exploding. But then what do we do with the data? That's the key. How's the data interpreted? What is the value coming out of it? Because just amount of data is of no interest anymore. But still, it's a projection. Yep. Also, as you know, this is a tech conference. The explosion of technology. This is 2012. This is how it looks 2015 when it comes to our industry and also big data. So it is a hot topic, a lot of people in there, and somewhere in here, see if, I worked for IBM previously, see if there are, anyone from IBM in here? There you are, proud, big blue, yeah. As one of my former colleagues in IBM said from Texas, I can spot a blue-blooded in a crowd of 1,000. I didn't get that first, but that's what you call them. I'm not blue-blooded anymore, but I am, anyway, yeah. So, a lot of explosions on that. You also know the ones that we're talking about, and being a software developer from the start, worked with some extract, transform, and load, been building my own databases and stuff like that, the complexity increases. For sure, we have old technologies like OLAP, but again, you can see it's a landscape, and some of you are working with these type of architecture parts, the complexity increases. Different sources, and for sure also the quality of the data. Because an old theory is, of course, shit in, shit out. I worked with data warehouses back in 2000. Again, well, the ETL we did, whatever we wanted to get into the data warehouse was, of course, key to the effect of what we get out. So what we see a trend is that the quality of data, everyone is gathering data, everyone is proud of how many exabytes and terabytes of data they have. But the quality of it, I would say that many of them are in the data swamp. It's just not useful. It's just not able to get the quality of it because there's different qualities, there are different data types, the different sources of it, which means that you end up in a swamp. Well, I already made this slide. As you can see, it sounds structured, this, right? That I'm kind of having a PowerPoint presentation and I talk it through. It's not. I'm just rumbling. So I'm glad that so this one is already taken. So this is. Okay. So that's in general with big data. The subtitle is an example from the online industry, just to understand a little bit, and if I can go through what and as I said, a lot of examples from the big data is taken from the online industry because it's moving extremely fast and there's a lot of data in there. So I will get back to that. What is then Adform? What do we do? We're a technology provider. We don't do the marketing. So we started down here. Here you have what's called the demand side in the online industry. That's Coca-Cola, that's H&M, that's other brands. On the other side here's the publishers. That could be Delphi, Financial Times, or any online media there is that are selling a inventory, as it's called. It's the supply side. So what we do is connecting the demand and the supply side. We started with something called third-party ad serving. So it works like this in the industry. Coca-Cola wants to brand themselves in Lithuania. They work with a media agency that helps them to define how do they reach out with a message in Lithuania on big boards, on TV, on papers, or in papers, and on online. They help them decide that, and they decide to spend a certain amount of money on online. Delphi, on the other side here, they have an inventory. They have, I don't know how many 1,000 users per day, or even million users per visitors per month, and that's what they're selling. Then it works when you come into Delphi, The content is loaded by Delphi servers, and the banners that occurs for Coca-Cola, they are loaded from our servers. This we've been doing for quite many years. It doesn't require that much of hardware, but lately we've had an increase, quite significant. We've had an explosion of this also. So we're on the top now. We are serving about 1.5 billion banners a day. So 1.5 billion requests to our servers to serve and show banners, mainly across Europe, but we're also in the US. That means that we more or less reach every online user in Europe on a daily basis, in one way or another. I would say already now, because you're all connected, you got on the Wi-Fi here, you're in one way, you've checked something, the majority, if not all of you in here, have already been in contact with our servers, requesting either just a tracking or a banner in one way or another. So it's a network, it's an integrated, and it's a high-load system when it comes to the third-party ad serving, as we do. Then, and the trend and I will get back to that a little bit, why the load has increased, but we get up to something called demand-side platform in reality. We also get over to the supply side, so now we are helping Delphi, as an example, of their ad server, their part of the technology. This has been two sides in many years, but now we see the trend is that it's going into one stack, one system, and in the middle there's something called a data management platform. But that's in general what we do. We support the technology. We don't support what's the content of Coca-Cola's ads, we just serve it. So, 2.5 years ago, we started developing what's called an RTB platform, real-time bidding. And this is a key of the massive changes in the industry, because things are now happening in real time. I said earlier when you go into Delphi, but I think you all have experienced what's called retargeting. You've been into hotels.com or Zalando or any other e-shop, and then wherever you go, you're just checking out your tennis time on SEB Arena's homepage, and suddenly the hotels you looked at, exactly those in Singapore or whatever you want to go, are popping up at the side. You experienced that? When you're into looking for something to buy, and then you get a banner and it's targeted that the information there, the same hotels. Anyone experienced that? Females, you bought some lotions or whatever, and then suddenly it occurs, right? Are you with me? Are you awake? Yes. Good, good. Sidetrack. I just came this morning. I have presented at the university, the ISM University, about online marketing. So I've been presenting today already for 1.5 hours for 22 students. It started 8:30. It's a crime to get a student up that early. They were so tired. I told them that I could see immediately when he fell asleep. And one guy, he fell asleep 5 minutes after I started, and he slept through the entire presentation. So I've seen people sleeping. You're much more awake. Anyway, so that is called retargeting. And the fundamental technology of that is that because it happens in real time. It's not that Coca-Cola decides to have 2 million banners shown in a given period of 14 days on Delphi. This is then in real time, because otherwise, how would it work? Well, the way it works is that you get in as a user into a media browser as it is. That media browser, could be Delphi, sends off to an ad exchange. Here I have some inventory. I have one banner placement that is open for sale. People can start bidding on that. They can, and that's the latest, that they add some information to it, enhance the bid request, not only with the standards in there, that is the IP range. By the way, the IP are stored of the first 3. The second part is removed, which means that then an IP address becomes not personal information. Some of you know more about this than I do. So it's not that we can target on specific IP addresses, but an IP range. So we can know, there could be that Delphi passes on, this is a Vilnius user. That's the range here we can get. They can enrich the bid request saying this is what we know about it, all based upon cookies. No other information allowed. Here, on the other side, we have the real-time bidding engine. We have competitors also listening. So we listen to these ad exchanges and these bid requests that are coming. We currently listen at a little bit above 1 million requests per second. This whole ecosystem made us, I would say, tenfold our capacity on servers. The third-party ad serving I talked about earlier was a little bit low-key, didn't require so much. This exploded. 1 million requests per second. It is a lot, to put it that way. Requests from ad exchanges, we decide, and we're looking in the logics. The cookie is passed on. We look upon in our data to see, is this a cookie we've seen before? Is this a user? Are there any of our clients, Coca-Cola at that side, that are interested in reaching out to users in Vilnius, for example? Do we know anything else about this? Can we take the cookie and compare to segments that has been built so we know something more? Is it a male? Is it a female? Can we do any other categorization of it? Do we know anything else? And then decide, yes, this is interesting for Coca-Cola. We put a bid. We bid on the placement, we put on the beta, and if the ad exchange decide you win, send back a message to us, yes, you won, pass on the banner back to the ad exchange or back directly into the Delphi homepage. This echo thing is supposed to be happening within 100 milliseconds, which means we cannot bid on Australian inventory because it's physically impossible. Speed of light is not enough. 100 milliseconds is the turnaround on that. So we will then be able to generate an enormous amount of data. And then the lookup part of it here, whenever we are to decide if we are to bid or not, that is also a massive amount. As said, this is a flashy dashboard, see here. As I said, 100 milliseconds, or 100 million requests per second. This drives, yeah, you see it here, it's just petabyte of data warehouse, 6 data centers, 3 billion banners shown per day. Oh, marketing did that. I'm even outdated on that. I said 1.5 or something. We even do 3 billion now. That's not something we track anymore, but we do the requests per second. That is important for us. So this is, for us, it's just been exploding. So what it's all about is to find a needle in the haystack with all this information. So if we're then looking at Delphi as an example, you could put in a plugin so you see how many cookies that are set. And in this case, well, Adform is not on there in this case. Well, we should be there. So this is the amount of cookies that are typically set on just one visit on Delphi. You all know that if you delete the cookies, you will then become anonymous, but it will soon start building up immediately of information. This terrifies people in some sense. I'm not here to advocate that it's not an integrity problem that Google, for example, stores so much data. The cookie is the least worries, because that you can delete and you can read. It's when Google and Facebook are storing data of your, I mean, how many are in here on Facebook? Yeah, this is an age thing. There were no one in the university on Facebook. Yeah, oh, they're lying. Of course, okay. I should have known that before because I have told them that. Twitter, no, they don't do Twitter. It's too old. They do Instagram, and then I told them that my kids that are 10 years old, they do Snapchat, which is a reflection also of just social media. Let me sidetrack a little bit on that. It's quite interesting to see how we, in this category, we're not talking kind of 30 and then 60 and then the people retired. No, we got a category called 10 to 13-year-old. They use Snapchat. They don't do Twitter. They don't even know that. Facebook, not a chance. Instagram, maybe. Snapchat, for those of you, maybe you have kids also. Snapchat is 3 seconds of video. They don't even text anymore. It takes too long. 3 minutes, 3 seconds. You pass it on, you send it to your network. Either you are friends or directly to someone. They can look at it, and then it disappears. If you make a screenshot of it, you will get a message back. So it's instant messages back and forth and back and forth. It's impressive to see a 10-year-old girl can do 3-second videos every time. They do hundreds of them, thousands of them. That's how they interact nowadays. Snapchat do not have any personal information, but Facebook do have. And Facebook is earning a lot on their advertisements, as it is. They do and can target, not if you go by cookie, it's all a little bit of a guesswork. What have this cookie visited before? What do we know about it? Are there any other? So it's very, very harmless and unprecise data. But there's a lot of research in trying to get that. But Facebook, of course, has a very accurate and exact data, so they can retarget people on any data field there is, which they are doing. But Facebook is quite obvious because you've logged in, you've approved to it in. But Google is a little bit, anyone working for Google in here? You don't dare to say that. Google, if you go on and you could do in settings and go in. I have a friend in Adform, he did the Mongolian rally, where you drive from London to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. He passed through every stan there is, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Tajikistan, whatever they are. And he were not connected in many times there. They were not even, definitely not a 3G or 4G, not even a network for it. But Google, at the long side, managed to, so when he came to Ulaanbaatar, he could look in the map and he just exactly where he'd been. Follow that through. It's stored. It's stored what you do, what you search for. And if you're looking for something that is super interesting for marketeers, is the intent. It's a funnel where you start to get hold of the people that are actually in the market for buying a new car, or interested in, or even being thirsty. Some parts of that. That's the wet dream for a marketeer, to get hold of that intent, what you're actually after, what you're interested in. And what's better, well, I wouldn't say what's better, but what's a super good sign of that is the search pattern. What we search. We all use Google as a search. They store every search you do connected to the cookie, and then you have an intent. Google has a massive amount of data. I think they are a little bit cautious about how to use this, because it can whiplash. It could hit them extremely hard if they start getting out in a land where they shouldn't. So that is something to keep track of and see. If you're interested of see how you've been tracked on the internet, start looking in your Google settings and see what Google has stored about you. Then try to get out of it. That's a little bit harder. Get them to unsubscribe. Get Google to unlike you. You want to unlike. That's quite difficult. When it comes to data, and if you want to watch eye on certain things in the market, mobile is tricky. We all know how much time we spend on mobiles nowadays. In South Korea, for example, tablets and PCs, basically no one's using that. Everything is on mobile. And these are not typically, now I happen to have an iPhone, cookies are not enabled on this one. So tracking on and be able to follow people on mobiles is a little bit more difficult. What the industry is struggling with now is that people are spending so much time on this, and we can't really track it, you can't follow it, you can't target, you can't do that. All the things that we can do on desktop that is super interesting for people, we can't do on mobile, fully out. There is one industry or one part that knows everything what we do. It's the telecom companies. They know exactly where we are, what we have, what we subscribe to, whatever it is. I know that the telecom companies are currently sitting and trying to figure out how they can leverage on this data. They're super scared to do wrong, so they're very cautious about it. But we will see in a soon future that the telecom companies are, with one or the other, start unlocking this, because there's tons of money in this end of brand advertisers that want to invest to do proper campaigns on mobile. Because honestly, have anyone in here seen any campaign on mobile that is worth remembering? Right? What happened was that we took offline media, the printed banner, the printer advertisements, put them into online, and magic happened. You can click on it. The first banner was created in 1984, and you could click on it. It says, click here. That is the most successful online campaign ever driven. 44% clicked on it. Today, a normal banner creates about 0.1% clicks on it. Now what happened is that we're taking those online formats and squeeze it in to this small screen. And it doesn't fit. So what do we do then? Well, we fold it into a cube. That's what's smart. So there you can slip it and then run. It doesn't work. So then, desperately wants, you know how it looks like. We're 4 people in my family, 2 daughters and a wife. Yeah, I know what the guys thinks. Yes. Yeah, they are teenagers also. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, to spend some time in hotel rooms and travel. No, I did not say that. I did not say that. So, but we all look at TV, but we don't look at it. We're sitting like this, and then we have that. My daughters have a PC or a tablet between, and they don't even know what linear TV is. They just look at Netflix. That's TV for them. So it's a massive change, and we're spending so much time on this. And the key to it, and be able to have vision, is the telecom companies. I don't know how it will happen, but keep an eye on it if you're interested and see what will happen. It's a delicate balancing act for them, because if they go a little bit wrong, it would fire back big time due to personal integrity things. Yep. So I will see if there's the way to describe also how, with this, as I said, the massive data and then actionable data to get that out of it. Based upon the cookies and based upon this, marketeers do want one thing. They want frequency and reach. They want to reach the right audience at the right time with a limited number of messages. They don't want to bombard us, even though they do it. They want to reach the ones that are interested in it. They don't want me to see commercials for diapers anymore because I'm out of range. I'm not interested anymore, but I was. And it's so much money to save. If you can cut off 80%, even though the 20% that's back on the cookie base, you know that they are in there. It's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's perfect target, but it cuts out 80% of waste. And that's an interesting way of looking at big data, because big data is often perceived and presented as finding the needle in the haystack, finding the exact data, making exact mathematics out of it. What online industry is about is to reduce waste, to actually look upon the data that say, oh, let's cut out the crap, cut out what we know is not relevant for us. And then we have a better data set, not perfect, still be women that sees motorcycles advertisements, but the majority in there are men in the 20 parts interested in motorcycles, if that's what we want to reach. McDonald's is an example of where they've taken this and they've then combined offline data, which is gathered in the store, created categories. One is the yeah, we will see if this works. We haven't tested this. It didn't work. No. So, could the technician see if there is a film embedded there? Could you kick it off and see if it works? Did you hear that? That's the most common answer you get from IT support. Yeah, well, no. Are you on it? Yeah. We're going to fix it. When? Don't know. Is it hard? No. So when will it fix? We don't know. So does it work? I've already fixed it. But you didn't say anything. No. So for how long has it been fixed? 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah. You didn't do that. No? Anyway, they were a film. So I think we saved time in this also. What they did was that they were able to take offline data, put categories into it, map also these categories so that you could target, because there are different McDonald's. Many of us go to McDonald's, not officially, but we tend to go there anyway. So what are the messages that we can do? And they've proven that there is an uplift. But because McDonald's, it's hard. How do you brand? How do you advertise this? There are different parts. You want to reach people in different categories with different messages, and especially when you start getting these promotion things out. Who are the one that will like a kind of a voucher on McDonald's the most? Instead of spreading the whole world, and some of us maybe just taking the voucher and throw it away, while younger people, students, the sleeping ones that I had this morning, they would love it to have it. That's where you can focus and target more into what are the data that you can use for it. So that was an example. So, to summarize, one interesting slide in data, now we're skipping, but this is the 25 hottest skills of 2014 on LinkedIn. So now just map your CV towards this and see if you're hot. Oh, there, now it started. Okay, do we have some sound also? No, well now, what happened? It's a McDonald's. They're working hard back there, you can see that. He's now unplugging.
And their consumers better. So what makes McDonald's approach unique? Well, in 2013, in order to understand the journey and purchase patterns of their consumers, McDonald's Denmark performed a major consumer behavior study. To implement this study, McDonald's needed to move from mass communication to one-on-one communication. That's why we decided to match all the information up against media consumption data and divide the consumers into 5 operational segments. We then combined the segment data with an agile digital approach in a whole new way, transforming insights directly into digital personas. On a monthly basis, our data management platform grabs and analyzes more than 1 billion URLs, scanning these pages for unique semantic characteristics. We then tie the actual content of these pages to the users, creating very granular semantic profiles with more than 3,000 unique characteristics of each user we meet. Through programmatic buying, we're now able to tailor the creative messages across McDonald's offerings throughout the day to just the right segment wherever we meet them. We no longer rely on share of voice, reservation buying, or price negotiation, and are now able to activate a campaign within minutes. By combining semantic profiles with socio-demographic data, the right user is identified within fractions of a second, ensuring the right message is delivered to the right audience at the right time on a relevant platform. The results in 2014 have been outstanding. We lowered the cost for bringing a guest into the restaurant significantly, more than doubled the digital ROI, and tripled the sales uplift from digital. Digital now generates close to 20% of total media-driven sales, and our approach has become best practice globally within McDonald's. We no longer think mass McDonald's, but practice my McDonald's.
Okay, so a little bit more branded and flashy video, but in essence, what they do. It sounds enormous, what they create, driving ROI, return on investment from online campaigns, and also be able to measure it and the cost for driving people into the stores. But remember what I said earlier, this is an industry that desperately looking for improvements. So coming from a very low level to a little bit higher is for them and very much an increase. And that's what online industry and the data is good at. So, summarize it. Just want to statistic analyze and data mining. That's top number 1. Middleware and integration software, storage system management, network, CEO management, mobile development, algorithm design, Perl, Python, Ruby, Mac, Linux, Unix developer. If you are into virtualization, you're a little bit off. And game development, shell script, you see. So again, big data is definitely, for an area to work in, a very, very hot topic on LinkedIn. Yep. So, the thought was, have fun, yeah? Thought was just to give you a teaser of some of our look upon big data and such a big data company that we are, also on the online industry, how it works, and the massive amount of data. But also, it's in extreme fast pace. There are many things today that are super important to us that we didn't know of 6 months ago. I've not been in an industry that's moving faster than this before. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll be around this time of year next year also. So we'll see if I'm back here then. Or we gone bankrupt. I don't know. We'll see. That was not funny. Anyway, yep. So I'm here. Yep. I have socks. I said that. So any smart questions will be.
Great. Thank you very much for Mr. Persson.
Thank you.
Socks? Right. Okay, great socks. Yellow and green. Do we have some questions from the audience? Yes, please, the gentleman back there. We need a microphone for him. And the socks. The socks goes
yeah,
without asking.
I'm coming.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You used to.
You are very efficient.
Just because you're famous, you don't have to.
Well, to be honest, I just need the socks, but anyway, I'll ask a smart
Just
question.
take the socks, please.
Actually, I was quite certain that banners are quite dead, but obviously I was wrong after your presentation. So I saw that on McDonald's you have a return of investment like 5.8, right? So could you comment on my idea of that the banners are dead actually? And because actually our company have tried a couple of those and we failed badly. So is it still a going thing?
A banner in the old-fashioned, yes, it's dead. I mean, dead banners that just massively populates a message. No, yeah, it's on its way out. Rich media formats, it's very hot on the other way. You have takeovers, you have where you can interact with it, you have messages. So then we're into that if you're a marketeer, you need to have a full story, as they talk about. You need to have a brand where you think of how you communicate. What people are putting into the banners, we're not involved in. But if we can see the trend that if you are more advanced, having more rich media, which means that banners are interacting, and video. Video is coming and exploding. It is on YouTube and other forums. We have formats where you scroll down, the video starts playing, and if you then go below the fold and it's coming out of screen, it stops, but then it starts automatically. And when it's done, it collapses. That's one format that is becoming more and more popular, but it's the content in there. So, yeah, banner in the old-fashioned, I think the one that you can click on, it's out. BMW, for example, says, we don't want people, we're not looking for people that are clicking on banners. So measuring how many clicks on the BMW banner, it's not interesting for them. They want engagement time. They want to see how long they can engage. Run the video in the banner. That is then having a better return on it. But again, back to the goal. What is working in the marketing? How do you measure return on investment? It's an industry that desperately wants to improve a little bit. Yep.
Okay, question here from a gentleman in the second row, and then a question from a gentleman in the third row.
I bet there will be a question around ad blockers.
Okay.
Was it your question?
No. Here
Did I take your question? No. There you are.
Okay, so
you don't have a microphone.
Yes. Hello. I have a question.
Mats, this is the question going here. The stocks are going there. So later on, yeah. Next.
So
he raised it. Yeah.
You said that. Thank you. You said that we have to forget big data. We need actionable data.
Yeah.
Yes, but if in statistics, if you have little data, you can't do the statistics. But big data is actually that's what you mentioned at the advertisement and things. It's statistics actually. So how we balance the not being in the data swamp, but have actual data.
And then it is about quality. What are the sources you get the data from? What are the statistical methods you put onto the data, and what do you want to achieve out of the data? And what is
Should have a data swamp to extract the actionable data.
If you are in the swamp, per definition, you're in problem, because then you will not be able to do the statistics properly. So that's what I said, that quality of the data means that you end up in a swamp, and in a swamp you can't do anything. You want to be up on shore again. So it is, again, back to the old thing. And what my key point was, maybe it's obvious for some of you, maybe, that it's not the size of the data, it's actually what you can do with the data. It's the actionable data. And that's what comes into. People have cookie data all over, but what do you do with it? How do you find the needle in the haystack? And there's not one straight answer to it, but it was a catch line for the presentation.
Yeah, sure.
What is it? Is he starting? Yeah. So this one, there you are. You got a microphone. Did you get a pair of socks?
Okay, just a question about online advertising.
I'm more interested in the socks. Do you want them?
Okay, okay, thanks. Okay, I think as you are aware, about 40%, and the trend is growing. People are using ad blockers and, of course, online trackers and cookies. And I think it's a matter of time.
I didn't like that question, so you have.
I think it's a matter of time before ad blockers will be default in browsers.
Yeah.
So I think it's no.
You get it. Yeah.
So do you have a strategy? It's a problem for Adform, yes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then to say, is it a problem for us? No. Is it an indirect problem? Yes. The problem is for Delphi and the publishers. You say 40%, I usually say, well, then let's make a survey here. How many are in here using ad blockers? Do you have a computer? Yeah. You, okay. Yeah, hello. You do. And I want to look a little bit more. No, keep up your hands, because I want to see that this is interesting, for me at least. Okay, there is one woman over there. How many women in here use ad blockers? No, you're not a woman. You can. He's still keeping his hand up. So there are a few women. Okay, you say 40%. Some in the industry say 20, 30%. Typically, this is coming from people that want that number to be high. But just a survey in here, yes, it is 20, 30%. This is a big problem for the publishers. For Delphi, this is 20, 30% of their online revenue, which is becoming more and more significant for them. That is just out the window. It doesn't happen. It is a huge problem. I met up with a big publisher in Denmark. I said, do you have a strategy for this? Yes, we have. Is it Danish? He said, oh, yeah, of course we have. We have 3 strategies. Oh. The trend is going. We're all going to die. It's going to go to hell. Yes, absolutely. I know you're geared up. I have an answer. No, I don't have the answer, but I will tell you. Good. Am I speaking too slow?
You're peaking, just.
I'm peaking. Yeah, I'm getting geared up. Yeah. So
okay. 3 strategies. And
3 strategies.
We need to finish.
Either we apply to the users, dear user, you have a blocker on. Could you please turn it off? I mean, seriously, we need to earn some money here. Could you please turn it off? There is a Norwegian publisher that's using that as an example. 0.02% of the ones using ad blockers actually turn them on after that message. It's not super successful, to put it that way. People ignore it. Then there are some sites, and I think there were some in Lithuania here, that says, dear user, you using ad blockers, we don't show you anything. So turn it on, we show it. Putting hard to hard. That leads to people are just leaving. There's no statistics of how many they can convert that actually want to turn on the blockers. Then there is a strategy saying doing nothing, we will see what happens. So these guys had really things under control. They have 3 strategies. One of them is doing nothing. In my world is they don't know. So the answer to your question short of is the publishers are paralyzed by this. This is a problem, and there is not a single solution to it. But there will be a solution to it because it's too much money flowing in. Because guys, there is no free lunches. The fuel of internet is advertisements. That's why we can see content. That's why we can do. Snapchat already starts introducing some advertisements. Instagram start introducing, because it is the fuel. Because nothing is for free. So there's push for the money. There is then also rumors in the industry that the ad blockers, even though you have the ad blockers turned on, do you see some commercials? Sometimes. Some banners occurs. How could that happen? Rumors in the industry is that it's a little bit like old-fashioned Lithuanian, right? Before that, a little bit of money there, I will accept you there, right? So you can pay AdBlock Plus a little bit of money there, not officially, so that they can let through your banners. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's pure mafiosos if that is the case. But that is then coming in. It's a rumor in the industry. I didn't create it. So it is a huge problem. So it's a relevant question, it's a relevant problem, but I no doubt that it will be fixed. There's companies now investing a lot in blocking the ad blockers. Technology-wise, it's not really possible, but I think we will see. Let's see how we continue. Okay. Getting as a default is not going to solve the problem. Yeah.
Okay, I see you. Oh, thank you very much. How are you? That's my question.
How I am?
Yes. I have only one question for you. How are you?
Oh,
just for the stocks, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine too as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mats Persson. Please thank him.